Share that church Sunday school. Have you interview with free? And what's called one is entitled Liberating Passover. They consist of four lessons that for the memory of the liberating events of Exodus. The memory of the Exodus, revealed in the past of the year, cultivated and the life for restoration and liberation for the human people, as told in the book of Ezra and Missionary. Our musical scripture this morning comes from her people, the Paul chapter. In the 10th verse, it reads, as each has received a gift, use it to serve another as good stewards of God's very grace. Your calling just might be found at the place where you're gifting and the world needs you. Father God, it is teaching time once again in Jesus' name. Let it increase, Father God, and we increase. Let your people see all of you and less of you. Father God, I pray that you give them an ear to hear and a cultivated heart to receive what the Spirit has for them. It is in Jesus' name we pray, and God say amen. Today's topic is entitled Unexpected Resource. You know, it is mid-season, 40 days of the wilderness. And I want to just remind you of three components of resources, but we need to have a sustainable home, a sustainable church community, and a sustainable career. Components of resources. We need to have faith, finances, and logistics. In order for you to have a sustainable home, you need to have faith. God needs to be the center of it. You need to have faith. The positive deal needs to be faith. You need to have participation. You need to get up and go to that job. So that we can to have a sustainable church or person center. You are encouraged by you are expected to have faith, financial, and participation. God has to be the center for the church to attend. It's in finances around it. He's giving you all the same deal on the church before they don't be on. And you need participation. You can't expect the pastor first day to be, the tea. Run out of the video over there, you think that they're running out. Take the money, get Ezra, and take participation of everything that's part of the video. It takes faith, financing, and participation. So we operate together on a regular basis. If you want to go here, one of the things that is you need an hour of your time. A gallon of gas, so you can be passionate to the people. I have you say, hey, I want to go on the team, how much to pay? You pay grace and earnestly. You need an hour of your time. Your car will gallon of gas in it, and you need to be prepared. You have to pay. That's the one. Brothers and sisters, sometimes people are given a challenging job which requires a change or risk. Can we find resources to meet these challenges? Israel's release from Babylonian captivity reveals that we can have faith that God will provide persons. We can have faith that God will provide persons and resources to fulfill God's purposes. Today's lesson, consider how the people of God handle the last minute challenges under the leadership of Ezra and others after a long season of exile. In the ancient past, God was usually thought to be But what the is the Lord. So the scripture passage, however, challenges this. God rather does things in the usual way. The history often is unexpected ways of which the guidance of a typical believer. Today you will learn how God King Cyrus Persia, the leader of Israel's and Babylonian's conference to aid God's people with his blessings and provisions. The rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem became a reality. First, we take a journey through Israel, the first chapter. Don't look at verses 1 through 8 and verse 11. Verse 1 in the New Revised Standard Version says, in the first year of King Cyrus of Persia, in order that the word by the mouth of Jeremiah might be accomplished, the Lord's servant was appeared to King Cyrus of Persia, so that he sent a herald throughout his kingdom, and also gave written and declared. Thus says King Cyrus of Persia, the Lord, the God of heaven, has given me all the kingdom of the earth, and he has charged me to build him a house as a religion and good. Any of those of you who are his people, may their God be with them. Are they now permitted to go to Jerusalem and Judah and rebuild the house of the Lord, the God of Israel? He is the God who is in Jerusalem. Verse 4 says, and that all survivors in whatever place they reside be assisted by the people of their place with silver, gold, with goods, and with animals, besides free will offerings for the house of God in Jerusalem. On the wall right there. The passage opens up with a clear initiative of the Lord, the God of heaven, and the beautiful action of Cyrus, the Persian king, on their behalf. During the Babylonian exile, and congregations had lost a beginnings, their kingdom, and promised only. Keep in mind that although the Persians opposed the Babylonians, who had initially conquered, they too were perceived enemies of the Judeans. The challenges of Hebrews' former way of life were immense and comprehensive. Therefore, the events took place in today's passage, and particularly the significance because the temple was the site where the priests made sacrifices to God. They believed was the sacrifices to God. Elsewhere, so many miles that lay between God's people and their temple had to impact their relationship with God. Some of his actions served to galvanize a surprised and scared people. God was at work, and the millions could see. Don't just think about the situation that's going on over the leadership. They have been destruction. Things are being torn down. And this goes to a path, on the path that easily to be rebuilt. Where and they expect the resources to come from. Verse 5 said, the heads of the families of Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites, everyone whose spirit God had stirred, got ready to go up and rebuild the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. All the ladies aided them with silver, vessels, with gold, with goods, with animals, and with valuable gifts beside all that was for the altar. King Cyrus himself brought out the vessel of the house of the Lord that Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem and placed in the house of his gods. King Cyrus of Persia had him released into charge of the treasurer who counted him out to Shabazza, the prince of Judah. Verse 11 says, the total of the gold and silver vessels was 5,400. All these Shabazza brought up in the exile and brought up to Babylonian to Jerusalem. And Cyrus was wanted to authorize the rebuilding of the temple in Jerusalem. and revealed by God Himself. He issued an edict to inform of the kingdom and the region of His mission, and to affirm that the millions had pledged the return of Jerusalem. So it's a person of great power, privilege, and resources. Is to us surprisingly already and give to Jews who have significant resources for such a idea. Even for a king, the rebuilding of the temple was not an easy task. It required the organization of displaced people and the gathering of rebuilding materials along with silver, gold, with goods, for family, besides rebuild offerings. But God was the God of but God was good and was good. But God was result. And God signified that the Hebrews' faith was still alive and he wanted to survive. Notice in verse 8 that King Cyrus himself brought out the vessels of the house of the Lord that Nebuchadnezzar had carried away. Finally, the precious temple goods would be returned to their proper place. The second chapter of Ezra details the available resources that assist the time for rebuilding the temple. Let's take a look at Ezra, the second chapter, verses 64 through 70. Once again, reading by standing degree. Verse 64 says, the whole assembly together was 42,360. Besides their male and female servants, of whom there were 7,337, and they had 200 male and female steeds. They had 736 horses, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 6,720 donkeys. As soon as they came to the house of the Lord in Jerusalem, some of the heads of the families made freewill offering for the house of God to erect on each side. According to their resources, they gave to the building fund 61,000 parcels of gold, 5,000 units of silver, 100 priestly robes. The priests, the Levites, and some of the people lived in Jerusalem and its vicinity. And the singles of the gatekeepers and the temple servants lived in their town, and all Israel within their town. The whole assembly of the servants, singers, horses, servants, singers, horses, mules, camels, and donkeys. Resources. They had participation. There was not incident, in fact, according to the New King James Version, it appears that many of the Jewish people had achieved some prosperity about living in Babylon. The Jews had not been enslaved in exile, they had only been restricted from returning to their land. Also, recall some of the Jews had remained in Jerusalem. The writer provides insight into the heart of these people by explaining that some was dead with famine. Contributed female offering, the Jews took ownership and recognized their responsibility to their faith and service to God. It's all going forward had a point and faith, always done, both in purpose and obedience. He gave according to that resource. We are reminded of the 2 Corinthians.
Each one of these. Teach you a little bit about things.
Entirely be according to their faith. And each of the other vision. You might recall that this country were extremely prosperous, also abundant in water. They overflowed and filled in generosity. Again and the word they are reminded that everyone on the earth to the forest and their community comprehension to the enemy. When we talk about participating, your time and contribute and having faith. We don't hear that you stolen and how to do. You feel according to our needs. It ain't up to you. It is how you give it. You take it freely, you take it lawfully, you get to the God, it is being fled. You look at, they said, from the earliest to the fourth. They gave it, and it's a believable contribution. In the Bible verse for today, we see a people settled in Jerusalem and her surrounding town. Later in the Bible, you can sure that Jerusalem was significantly populated. We read in the book that bears his name, the leaders of the people in Jerusalem. And the rest of the people cast lots to bring one out of 10 to live the homeless in Jerusalem. While 9 tenths remained in other towns. And people blessed all those literally offered to live in freedom. 1/10, you might say, and tithe of the people were sent to live in Jerusalem, probably to care for the house and to bring wife back to the city and get his devastated. Well, we did not hear much today about Ezra, the priest and the prophet. He was vital to the events that took place. We are blessed to have a marvel modern day figure from the recent history. I want you to remember that anyone is civil right to be civil right to be Rosa Parks, Dr. Martin King, and many others who got it by faith. Their example and giving sacrifice and encourage others to participate in bringing light to the darkness inside. And they inspired those who stayed at home. They challenged the status quo that tried to keep the saints of God in their comfort zone. Whenever we step out those comfort zones, we discover, as used in today's passage, that miracles often come from unexpected resources. Unexpected resources. When you have a faithful God, and God can He will. He will provide the resources that you need. Just got to have that faith. Believe He'll supply the financing, and believe that He'll be able to participate. To keep your house going, keep your church going, keep your community going. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Sunday School. Pray that something you said in your hearing will help you along the way. After you come back after that, we have been an hour. Here, our pastor visit. You pray God bless you, and they help you continue to carry out.